Few homes inspire as much affection as the bungalow, which is surprising when you consider that it's not the largest, nor the grandest, nor the most expensive type of house. Yet for more than a century, these modest homes have spread all the way around the world. From India to Britain, from Australia to North America. On today's video on Homes Explained, we're exploring how this unassuming house became a global phenomenon, why it proved so adaptable everywhere it went, and why more than a century later, people still can't seem to resist its appeal. The word bungalow comes from Bangla, meaning of Bengal, and during the British colonial period, many Britons stationed in India lived in these homes. They were simple, practical dwellings, single-storey with deep covered porches that provided shade, airflow, and relief from the heat. Designed for comfort rather than formality, bungalows offered a very different way of living from the grand European homes many had left behind. The British quickly came to appreciate their practicality, and as the soldiers and officials returned back home, they took the bungalow concept with them. The first British bungalows appeared in the late 19th century, particularly in coastal resorts and rural settings. While they looked quite different from their Indian predecessors, they retained the same emphasis on comfort and practicality. At a time when Victorian architecture still dominated much of residential housing in Britain, the bungalow felt refreshingly modern. It prioritised everyday living over formality and social status. But while Britain would embrace the bungalow, it was on the other side of the Atlantic that the house would truly come into its own. By the early 1900s, the bungalow had arrived in America, and at exactly the right time. As cities expanded and millions of families searched for practical, affordable homes, the bungalow offered a compelling alternative to the large, highly decorative Victorian homes of the previous generation. Simpler and far less formal, it felt perfectly suited to modern life, and Americans embraced the concept enthusiastically, but nowhere more so than California. Here, the bungalow found the perfect home. California's mild climate and growing arts and crafts movement proved to be the perfect match. Here, the house evolved into what many people today think of as the classic American bungalow, low-slung and welcoming, with deep porches, natural materials, and handcrafted details that reflected a growing appreciation for craftsmanship and outdoor living. If Bengal gave the world the bungalow, California gave it personality. The bungalow's popularity quickly spread beyond California, but as it moved across America, it began to change. In Chicago, where winters were harsher and urban lots were much smaller, the wooden California bungalow evolved into something much sturdier. Brick became the material of choice, creating the distinctive Chicago bungalow that still defines many of the city's neighborhoods today. Beyond Chicago, bungalows spread rapidly throughout the Midwest, and as they did, they became simpler and more affordable, shedding some of the decorative details found in California, but retaining the practical layout and efficient use of space that had made the house so appealing in the first place. In the Pacific Northwest, the bungalow found a natural home among the forests and rugged landscapes of Washington and Oregon. Here, the emphasis on craftsmanship, natural materials, and a close connection to the outdoors felt perfectly at home. Many of these bungalows blended seamlessly into their surroundings, reflecting the region's appreciation for nature and simple living. In the southwest, the bungalow took on an entirely different appearance. Influenced by Spanish colonial and Pueblo traditions, many featured stucco walls, clay tile roofs, and shaded outdoor spaces designed to cope with the desert climate. The look had changed dramatically, but the underlying ideas of the bungalow remained exactly the same. Meanwhile, across the south, the bungalow once again proved how adaptable it could be. Deep porches, generous roof overhangs, and well-ventilated interiors helped homes remain comfortable in hot and humid conditions. And in many ways, the bungalow was returning to the climatic principles that first made it successful in Bengal. Yet America's love affair with the bungalow was only part of the story, and perhaps nowhere was this more evident than in Australia. There, the California bungalow became enormously popular during the early 20th century, but Australians quickly made it their own, with very broad verandas, generous outdoor spaces, and an emphasis on indoor-outdoor living. This proved perfectly suited to the country's climate and lifestyle. Many bungalows feature distinctive terracotta roof tiles and decorative timber details inherited from the Victorian and the Edwardian eras, creating a look that remains closely associated with Australian suburbia to this day. In Canada, the bungalow took on a very different character. Long winters encouraged steeper roof lines, basements, and enclosed living spaces, while the post-war housing boom helped make the bungalow one of the country's most popular family homes. For many Canadians, the bungalow became synonymous with the dream of home ownership. Back in Britain, the bungalow followed a different path. While it never dominated the residential housing landscape in the same way it did in parts of North America or Australia, nonetheless, it developed a very loyal following of its own. Bungalows became particularly associated with suburban living and retirement communities, valued for their accessibility, simplicity, and ease of maintenance. In the Caribbean and parts of Southeast Asia, the bungalow story came almost full circle. Homes in these tropical regions often featured deep roof overhangs, expansive verandas, louvered shutters, and layouts designed to maximise airflow and natural ventilation. In some areas, they were elevated above the ground to improve cooling and protect the home against flooding. By now, the bungalow had travelled thousands of miles from its origins in eastern India and adopted different materials, architectural influences, and appearances. And unlike, say, a Gothic revival or a Swiss chalet, it was never tied to a single form. Whether built from brick, wood, stone, or stucco, in a city, suburb, or tropical landscape, the bungalow proved to be remarkably adaptable while remaining unmistakably itself. That flexibility helps explain how the bungalow spread around the world, but it doesn't fully explain why people today continue to love it. Perhaps the answer lies in the qualities that have remained consistent from the very beginning. Bungalows feel approachable. They're modest in scale, easy to understand, and designed around everyday living. More than a century after they first emerged in Bengal, the bungalow remains one of the world's most beloved homes. And not because they're grand, fashionable, or expensive, but because they offer something increasingly rare: comfort without excess. A home that feels welcoming rather than impressive, and personal rather than performative. Thanks so much for joining me today on the Bungalow's little trip around the world. If you're watching from a country outside of America, and I know I've got a lot of viewers in Australia particularly, and also Canada, drop me a comment, let me know where you're watching from. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next week for more Homes Explained.